My sister and I are fraternal twins. She is fair and pretty, while I'm dark and have double phoenix eyes. My father said that black phoenixes are disaster stars, which will bring bad luck to husbands and bring financial losses. When I was 7 years old, they moved to a new house with my sister and left me to my widowed aunt. They thought my aunt was an ordinary rural old lady, but they didn't know that she had billions of assets. Later, my father's company was on the verge of bankruptcy, and he asked my aunt to help. My aunt smiled and asked me, "Do you want to save her?" I shook my head. He said that I wouldn't have to go to the funeral even if he died. On the first day of kindergarten, the teacher asked everyone to introduce themselves. My sister was the first one, confident and generous. "My name is Liu Exen. My parents said I am the cutest and most pleasing baby, and I can sing and dance." She got off to a good start and received praise from teacher Xiao Huiyan, a little reed flower. It was my turn next. As soon as I stood up, a boy shouted, "She is so dark." I was scared and dared not speak. My sister and I are fraternal twins. We are similar in body shape, but look completely different. She was born with fair complexion, big eyes and double eyelids like a doll, while I was dark, with single eyelids and slightly upturned tail. My family said that I looked fierce, like a bad kid. My parents preferred my sister. She would be encouraged and praised for everything she did, so she was sunny and cheerful while I was wrong in everything I did, and was stupid and ugly. Children who are not loved are also timid. Teacher Xiaohui taught the boy a few words, and then encouraged me to speak my name boldly. Now I dared not speak even more because my name is Li Xiaomei, which is not as meaningful as my sister's name. I am called Xiaomei just because I am the younger one. What kind of name is this? It started to rain after school, and my sister reached out to my father, and he immediately carried her from the kindergarten gate to the car. I stood still and waited for my father to carry me, but my mother urged me, "What are you waiting for? Can't you see it's raining?" I had to raise my small school bag to cover my head and ran over in a hurry. There was a puddle in front of the car door. I accidentally stepped on it, and the muddy water splashed on my pants and my sister's small leather shoes. My sister pouted and complained, "The new shoes are dirty. It's all my sister's fault." Two consoling voices came from the front row. "When we get home, Mom will help you clean them. It's just a pair of shoes. Dad will buy you better ones." I clutched my wet pants and lowered my head silently. The pants were a little old, unlike my sister, who was all new. Mom said that although our family is not poor, it is not easy to make money, so we must be frugal. I always abide by it seriously and dare not ask for this or that. But I also wonder, why does she never let my sister abide by such virtues? On the way, my sister excitedly talked about her feelings on the first day of kindergarten and mentioned me. My sister didn't even dare to speak, and no one played with her. It was really embarrassing. In fact, there are not many children in kindergarten who are as eloquent as my sister. Many people are like me and feel nervous about the unfamiliar environment. I don't understand why she belittles me. When we encountered a red light, my father slowed down and said, "We were born from the same mother. How can there be such a big difference? Wasn't the paternity test wrong?" Mom said angrily, "Do you really think I don't dare to divorce you? It's just a joke. Is it worth your anger?" Mom's voice became louder. "You suspected that I had two men. How could I not be angry?" She turned her head slightly and glanced at me. "You and I both have double eyelids and our skin forged my fortunately since I was born, otherwise heart colder than the rain hitting my body just now." I suddenly understood a lot of things. Dad thought I didn't look like him, so he didn't love me. The paternity test left a knot in Mom's heart. So Mom hated me, and my sister belittled me in order to make Mom and Dad pay more attention to her. She is so smart. The car started again, and my father spoke again. "What do you think? We can afford the fine, so raising another child is not a big deal." My mother was full of resistance. "I have finally recovered my figure. It has only been a few years and I'm going to have another child. Wouldn't I become an old sow? Let's talk about it in 2 years." My sister's eyes sparkled, and she seemed to listen very attentively. 1 month after entering school, the kindergarten held a parent-child activity. Only one parent was required to accompany the child, but my father was busy with work, and my mother chose to be in a group with my sister. The teacher went to communicate and asked them to bring me along, but my mother said, "This child is very timid and has no talent to show off. Don't let her participate in such public activities in the future so that she won't dare to speak on the stage, which is embarrassing." But teacher Xiao Hui insisted on not leaving anyone behind, and she personally took me to complete all the competitions. In the final talent show, she dressed me up as an ancient doll and asked me to recite ancient poems. She also changed into Han Fu and played the guzheng to accompany me. After reciting the whole Quiet Night Thoughts, I looked proudly at my mother in the audience, but my mother was busy helping my sister to adjust her skirt, so maybe she didn't hear anything. My sister and mother Sanji Lu Benghua together. My sister was wearing a light blue puffy skirt like a fairy. My mother was wearing a white dress, looking gentle and beautiful. My sister's singing was clear, and several mothers in the audience were moved and hugged their children tightly with fluorescent lights in their eyes. At night, I would also think of what my mother said. She said I was a ghost that embarrassed her and that I was a bad child with a fierce face. I often have tears in my eyes. I hugged teacher Xiao. We undasked in a hoarse voice. Am I really ugly? She has a faint fragrance. Every skin color is special. Look at the flowers in the kindergarten. If there is only one color, wouldn't it be very monotonous? But they also said that my squinting eyes are ugly, not like my parents' biological children. Teacher Xiao, who gently wiped my tears for me, you don't have squinting eyes, you have phoenix eyes. Your eyes are very beautiful, and even if you really have squinting eyes, it doesn't matter. Their aesthetics can only represent themselves, and they can't deny you. I first learned the word phoenix eyes. My eyes that were disliked by others had a name, which was better than my own name. With the help of teacher Xiao Hui, I became more cheerful than before. In the art class that day, the teacher asked us to draw animals. The next day at school, the boy who laughed at me held up a drawing paper and said to me, "Do you think this Tibetan fox looks like you? Do you know what a Tibetan fox is? It's the ugliest fox in the world, just like you with squinty eyes." I no longer swallowed my anger like before, but yelled back, "If I'm a Tibetan fox, then you're a pig, a big stupid pig." His face turned red, and he glared at me angrily for a while, then suddenly grabbed the colored pencil on the table and threw it. I felt as if some power in my body had awakened, and I pounced on him, scratching and biting him, and we soon wrestled into a ball. When the teacher pulled us apart, both of us had bruises on our faces. When school was about to end, my mother was invited to the office. She had a long face, and before she had finished listening to what happened, she urged me to apologize, and then she happily paid for the other party's medical expenses. The teacher and the parents across the street were a little confused, and it took them a long time to react. "Little sister's mother, I asked you to come here just to explain the child's situation to you, not to ask you to pay money." "Teacher, I'm very busy. I just want to solve the problem quickly." "Now there's nothing to do. We'll leave first." She didn't even ask me if it hurt and dragged me away in a hurry. In the evening, my father came back drunk, and my mother complained to him, "It's rare to go shopping with friends today." But the kindergarten called to ask the parents, saying that your little daughter has learned to fight at a young age. What will happen in the future? My father squinted his eyes and looked at me for a long time and suddenly slapped me. I fell to the ground and couldn't move for a while. My mother seemed to be frightened and her voice became stammering. What happened? There's no need to be so angry. I was wondering why a good customer was gone. It turned out that you, a spendthrift, ruined my fortune. My father told my mother that a big customer he had negotiated with suddenly broke the appointment, and he originally wanted to use this order to expand the branch factory, but now it's gone. So he asked someone to tell his fortune, and the person said that he had recently been bullied and that he should not have conflicts with others, otherwise he would easily lose money. He thought that I had a conflict with my classmates, which ruined his good fortune. My face was so painful that I couldn't speak at all, and I could only cry in grievance. "Why are you staring? Put away your dead eyes. You look fierce. You jinx. I have phoenix eyes." Phoenix eyes? Black crows are more like that. Phoenixes are all read so auspicious. You, a black phoenix, are a disaster star. When I go home in the future, you hide in your room and don't come out to avoid being an eyesore. From then on, I rarely left my room and rarely spoke. I always sat alone in my seat in kindergarten. No matter how much teachers Xiaohui comforted me, it was difficult for me to have confidence. At the end of the year, when I was in the senior class, my parents bought a new house and it was delivered. It was a large flat with 4 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. The balcony had a good view and you could see the Emerald Lake. My sister chose the largest second bedroom. Mom, I want pink walls, pink bed and wardrobe, and a bigger bed because I need to put a lot of dolls. Mom agreed to her requests one by one. I like the bedroom opposite my sister. It's not big, but there is a small balcony where you can see a little bit of the lake. But I didn't dare to ask and waited patiently for the arrangement. Mom, which room should I live in? Her smile turned cold and she looked at my dad. Dad said sternly, "You don't live here. Go to your grandma's house for elementary school, and I will pick you up later." My chest felt like I was punched, and it hurt. I couldn't say a word. Why? You are a little kid. You just do what we say. Why so many whys? It doesn't matter if he refuses to say it. I have heard them discussing that they will have another child next year. Dad asked someone to calculate that the baby horse will bring him good fortune. The person also said that my face is not good and I will kill my husband. My grandma's house is in the countryside more than 100 kilometers away. They sent me away and probably won't take me back again. During the spring festival, my parents took us to my grandmother's house early. After dinner, my mother talked to my grandmother about this, but she refused. Your sister-in-law is pregnant with her second child. In a few months, I will have to take care of my eldest grandson. How can I help you take care of the baby? How do you know it must be the eldest grandson? I asked someone to calculate. This baby must be a son. Take care of your own daughter. Don't leave it to me. My grandmother is patriarchal and partial to my uncle's family. She is not close to my sister and me, the 2 granddaughters. My mother said a grieved lie. Do you think I am deliberately troubling you? My mother-in-law passed away early, and there was no one to help her. Even when I just gave birth to the child, I hired an nanny. Now I have no choice but to come to you. My little sister is not a baby anymore. It's just a matter of convenience. Don't you want to help me? My grandmother said with a stern face. Grandpa, who was smoking a pipe in the yard, coughed and said, "Why don't you wash the dishes? Can't you wait for me to wash them?" The atmosphere remained tense until the second day of the Chinese New Year, when relatives came to pay New Year's greetings and the adults became chatty and laughing again. My sister and I, twins with different skin colors, are watched once a year. A fat and big-eared relative pinched my face with his greasy hands and said, "Your little face is not the same as those of us who grow crops. It's darkened yellow, like a little man made of mud. How can you look like a young girl? What if you can't get married in the future?" The men around laughed, and my father's laughter was particularly harsh. "Does it look like a clay man? I think it looks like a piece of jade." A clear voice came from the side. I followed their gaze and saw a woman sitting on a bamboo chair smoking. Her hair was casually tied up, and the coat on her body was wrinkled and old, and the style was very similar to the old clothes my grandmother wore when she was young. In the festive atmosphere, her dress was really sloppy compared to others. She put out her cigarette, stood up, and walked towards me like a piece of unpolished jade. She wiped the oil stains on my face and asked those people in a cold voice, "Are you not ashamed to play such a joke on a child?" The man looked teasingly. "When it comes to shamelessness, who can compare to you, Tang Zulin?" The men's laughter became more and more unbridled. Just now I heard my mother and grandmother discussing in a low voice that this is my grandmother's sister-in-law, my mother's little aunt, and I should call her aunt. When she was young, she was flamboyant, and she was proud of wearing clothes that others dared not wear and doing things that others dared not do. Because she was born beautiful, she was scolded as the reincarnation of a fox spirit. After my uncle married her, he left home. They all said that she had seduced his soul away. How they lived all these years, no one knew. She came back this time to deal with the old house left by my uncle when he was alive, and she didn't say a word about other things. My grandmother and mother concluded that she must have a bad life based on her dress. Laugh louder, or the ox-head and horse-face won't hear you and pull the wrong person, she retorted calmly. The man was so angry that his face turned red. "How dare you curse me to death? He pretended to fight but was pulled aside by others. It's New Year's Day. Don't make it too ugly. They were the ones who started the quarrel just now, and now they are the ones who are trying to stop the quarrel. Adults are really interesting. My father looked her up and down for a moment. His eyes turned, and he asked in a tentative tone, if Aunt thinks she is a good material, why not bring her with you to keep you company? My aunt glared at my father with disgust. You only want to give birth but not raise it. Was it difficult to buy sanitary products back then? My father was stunned, and just when he reacted and wanted to speak, she had already strode out. Someone comforted my dad. You haven't seen her before. She speaks in such a sarcastic way. Don't take it to heart. Another relative asked in confusion. She doesn't even have children herself. How can she raise someone else's child? Besides, you don't have to use your child to curry favor with her. My dad smiled perfunctorily. Every family has its own difficulties. You don't understand. I don't know what difficulties our family has. I just know that he is determined not to want me. I sat down alone in a corner. The snow this year is thicker than in previous years. It hasn't melted yet at the end of January. The cold wind blew into the yard, and the big red iron gate was blown slightly. The thin and straight-backed figure not long ago appeared in my mind. I quickly left the yard and no one noticed me. The cold wind made my cheeks hurt, and I felt extremely excited in my heart. I followed my aunt's example, straightened my back, strode, and imagined that I had grown up and could go wherever I wanted and no longer be thrown around like garbage. The village lanes are winding and winding. I was walking aimlessly. Suddenly, my head was hit and a bird fell to the ground. I squatted down and got closer. I saw tiny icicles hanging on the brown feathers. I couldn't help but reach out and poke it. It was dead. A familiar voice came from above. My aunt leaned against the fence on the roof, holding a cigarette in her hand. She looked into the distance and took a puff, then lowered her head to look at me. Just like this tree, it died a long time ago. I looked up at the bunch of dead branches next to her. The bird should have fallen from this tree, right? What kind of tree is this? Persimmon. When did it die? I don't know. Can people die like trees or like birds? I actually wanted to ask, for people who are not loved by anyone, will they die silently? Unfortunately, I am not as smart as my sister. After asking, I felt that the words were not expressive enough, but I didn't know how to make up for it. But my aunt seemed to understand what I meant. Why bother so much about what happens after death? What you should care about most is how to live. The cigarette ash floated past my eyes and fell on the bird. I couldn't help but think of the bird flying freely when it was still alive. What is life like? It should be like a flying wild goose stepping on the snow. Have you read it? And I'm not even 6 years old yet. She seemed to be thinking about something. They don't want you when you are so young. How come you are even worse off than me? My eyes were a little sore. I raised my hands and rubbed them. Dad said I'm a black phoenix, which is unlucky. My grandparents don't want me either. I may be thrown away. Aunt smoked expressionlessly and suddenly said after a while, what's your name? Li Xiaomei. Is this also a name? I nodded and shook my head. I hate this name, but it is indeed my name. My aunt seemed to be amused by me, and the corners of her mouth rose slightly. Then she said, I don't know how to take care of children, and I don't have much patience. I will just give you what I know and what I have. Whether you can succeed depends on yourself. Can you accept it? I was stunned for a moment, and when I realized that she wanted to adopt me, I was extremely happy, yes. On the afternoon of the third day of junior high school, my aunt came as promised. My father was very happy to hear that she was going to take me away, and generously said that he would give a living allowance. My mother had a complicated expression. Aunt, then let's leave a phone number and you can give us an address so that it will be convenient for us to visit you and my younger sister in the future. My aunt was full of disdain. There is no need for living expenses. Although I am an old woman, I will not starve. She looked at my mother again. You should leave a phone number. When you die in the future, she will have to come back to attend the funeral. As for the address, let's talk about it when you really come to see her. A trace of embarrassment flashed across my mother's face. My aunt said again, She is mine now, and she has to take my last name. You move her household registration out, and when she goes to my place, I will handle the paperwork for her again." My mother seemed reluctant. "Does she have to change her name too?" "If she does, people will think she is not my daughter anymore." My heart was warming up, and I mustered up the courage to say what I had buried for a long time. "I don't want to be called Li Xiao Mei, and I don't want to be the daughter of mom and dad. It's enough for mom and dad to have a sister, and they don't have to come to see me in the future." My father sneered. "Listen, you have someone backing you up, and you are so confident. Okay, from now on I will pretend that I never gave birth to you, and don't say whether you will see me or not. Even if I die, you don't have to go to the funeral." That night, my aunt took me to live at her house. As soon as the Spring Festival holiday was over, my parents went back to the city to handle the paperwork for me. After my aunt dealt with the matter of the old house, she took me to the city to meet them. My mother booked a table at the restaurant to see my aunt and me off, but neither of us wanted to see them. The taxi stopped at the door, and my aunt told her assistant to go upstairs to get the documents for my household registration transfer. Soon, my parents and sister rushed out of the restaurant, and the three of them were stunned. Today, my aunt changed into a loose old-fashioned chemise and a white coat, spotless. She was completely different from the rough peasant woman a few days ago. What remained unchanged was the coldness and done rule lines as in her bones. My aunt told me that she settled in Yanqing, more than 600 kilometers away. This time, the things were cumbersome and the transportation in the village was inconvenient, so she simply drove back. When I was sorting out old things, I saw those clothes and suddenly I was interested, so I put them on. She didn't care whether she celebrated the new year or not. She just did what she wanted to do. My father swallowed and asked my aunt with a flattering smile, "I saw this Bentley parked at the entrance of the village a few days ago. It turned out to be yours. And it has a license plate from Yanqing. Does my aunt live in Yanqing now?" My aunt did not answer. She checked the certificates before speaking. "We have to hurry. Let's forget about eating." My mother came over quickly and put her head in front of the car window. There seemed to be something flashing in her eyes. "Little sister, you must listen to your aunt in the future and don't make her angry, okay?" My aunt glanced at me coldly with a bit of disgust. "She doesn't call me little sister. As for what she will call her in the future, you don't have to worry about it." As soon as the words fell, my sister squeezed over. "Aunt, you look so beautiful today. Can I go to your house when I miss my sister?" The disgust in my aunt's eyes became even worse. "You have your own family. Why are you thinking about my family?" My sister was choked and couldn't answer. The car window slowly rose, and my mother called me little sister again. I didn't turn my head, but just leaned gently on my aunt. "Aunt, what's my name? Tangyu asked us to stay overnight on the road, and we arrived in Yanqing the next afternoon." My aunt's home is in the city center, a three-story garden house, quiet in the bustling city, just like my aunt, who lives passionately but is not tolerated by the world. Pick a room on the first or second floor and don't make noise before dinner. After giving instructions, she yawned and went up to the third floor. Nanny Aunt Chen took the initiative to take me around, and finally I chose a bedroom on the second floor with a terrace facing the garden. Thinking of my sister's spacious and bright second bedroom, I sighed inwardly. Is this a blessing in disguise? After dinner, my aunt took me to her treasure house. "Pick one of the jewels. Here is a gift for your new home. Like them, you will be a member of this place from now on." I walked past the glittering treasures and fixed my eyes on a black pearl. "And I like this one." She rarely smiled. "You are quite good at choosing." My aunt took out the black pearl and placed it on my palm. When the ancient Emperor Xiaohao was born, there was a phoenix holding a pearl in his mouth. He was named you, which is also your name. Jewelry can be sold at a stage price if it meets someone who knows the value of it, but in the eyes of those who don't like it, jade is no different from glass. The person who knows the value of it can be anyone, but first of all, it must be you. If they don't treasure you, you have to treasure yourself. I carefully held the bead and asked curiously, "Is that magic bead also black?" "It's not important." I thought about it and asked my aunt again, "Have you read a lot of books? Just killing time?" Her eyes moved slightly and she turned and walked to the study opposite. "But it's always good to read more books." My aunt handed me a copy of Dong Posei collection. "Take it and read it. It doesn't matter if she doesn't understand it now, she will understand it in the future. She paused. If she doesn't understand it all the time, it's a good thing. My aunt said she didn't have patience, but what she taught me these days was more than what my mother taught me in the past few years. At night, I lay on the bed and tried to read this collection of CI. I opened it along the position of the bookmark. It was a poem Ding Feng Bo. The paper on this page was older than the other pages. My aunt must have read it many times. What listened to the sound of leaves hitting the forest? Most of the words behind it were unrecognizable. The next day, while having breakfast, I asked my aunt, "Aunt, what does Ding Feng Bo mean?" She flipped through the magazine in front of her and took a sip of dark coffee. Go your own way, don't listen to gossip, and don't take idiots seriously. What is the sound of leaves hitting the forest? I'm talking about the meaning of the whole poem. I nodded, not quite understanding. Then I want to be a Ding Feng Bo person in the future. My aunt shook the hand holding the cup handle and then coughed a few times. I jumped off the chair, ran to the other side of the dining table, and patted her on the back. "Aunt, if the coffee is too bitter, we won't drink it." The mobile phone screen next to her suddenly flashed. Li Jahanha is calling. My aunt pressed the answer button but didn't speak. My father's voice came from the other end. "Aunt, it's me, Jahanha. You should have arrived in Yanqing, right? I thought you needed a rest after all the hard work, so I called you now. Is my little sister still obedient? If she does something wrong, just educate her. We are very relieved to leave the child to you." Then my mother called me across the air. "Little sister, are you adapting well over there? You must follow the rules at my aunt's house. Don't be as casual as at home. Be obedient, and don't let my aunt worry." My mother is the only one who misses me, but I am always cautious and not casual at all when I'm at home. Her advice made me feel even colder. This is her home. She doesn't need you to teach her what to do and what not to do. My aunt handed me the phone after she finished speaking. I took a breath and said loudly, "My name is not Li Xiaomei. My name is Tang Yu, the one and only Tang Yu. Don't call me anymore. I don't miss you at all." After hanging up the phone, I could even hear my heart beating. A trace of admiration flashed across my aunt's eyes, and then she turned her head and continued to flip through the magazine. In August and September, I entered an international school to study in elementary school. Although I had learned English 6 months in advance, my oral English was still far behind my classmates. What was worse was that there was a boy in the class who always spoke ill of me. Like my classmates in kindergarten, he laughed at my sharp eyes and called me an ugly chimpanzee in English. I didn't want to cause trouble for my aunt, and whenever he laughed at me, I would silently say, "Don't listen to the sound of leaves hitting the forest in my heart," and then avoid him to do my own thing. But he became more and more rampant. After school that day, he chased me to the school gate, shouting all the way, "Is Quasimodo your relative? Which for a wild girl are you from? Why are you so black, chimpanzee?" When I saw my aunt get out of the car, I ran over and threw myself into her arms. The boy still looked fearless. "You, do you think I'm afraid when your parents come? Do you dare to hit me?" The aunt stared at him coldly and said slowly, "Bastard, what do you mean, bastard?" "You dare to call me a pervert," the aunt said again. He was like a mouse whose tail was stepped on, and suddenly became veritable. "Don't say words. I don't understand." The aunt raised her red lips slightly. "You dead pervert. Do you understand this time? Aren't you very awesome? How dare you come out and embarrass yourself with such a small vocabulary? You old woman, fuck you." The aunt replied calmly. He became even more excited. "What did you call me again?" "So you only know Quasimodo, but you don't understand French? English is everywhere. Haven't you learned other languages? Then you have to work harder." He gave us both the middle finger and then ran away with a red face. I hugged my aunt with a face full of admiration. "Aunt, you are great. He just bullies me because I am not as good at English as him." My aunt straightened me up and said in a serious tone, "I told you to ignore the fool, not to take it to heart, but not to swallow your anger. Even if you beat up that bastard, I will not say a bad word about you." Thinking back to the experience of being asked to be a parent in kindergarten, my nose was sore and I hugged my aunt tighter. I cannot let those dirty words disturb my mind, but I also have to show my real ability to shut up those who look down on me. I study hard and seize opportunities to participate in school activities. Although my classmates have special skills and I am not good enough to shine among them, my aunt saw that I was full of fighting spirit and rewarded me with a trip to the UK during the winter vacation. In the British Museum, I saw many exquisite ornaments from ancient my country, and the craftsmanship was more complicated than those in my aunt's collection. Ah, why are they here? They stole or robbed. If it hadn't been stolen or robbed, we wouldn't have to run so far to see it, right? The art that we have passed down should be applied to, carried forward, and exhibited all over the world, rather than just being a medal for robbers, locked in a cabinet, and not knowing when it can go home. There must be many senior designers doing this, and I will join them in the future. Your art teacher said you are very talented and always seems to know what I'm thinking. Aunt, can I take art classes twice a week in the future? She lowered her head and looked at me and was in a trance for a moment. Yes. That summer, in a national painting competition, my work won the gold medal in the children's group. At the award ceremony, I stood in the center of the stage, holding the heavy trophy and looking at the audience. Aunt attended in her best clothes and applauded me proudly. I still remember that year at the parent-child activity in kindergarten. Teacher Xiaohui tried her best to help me complete the performance, but my mother never gave me a glance. It's not that I don't deserve it, but that she refuses to love me. I accepted an interview with a TV station. Facing the camera and the crowd, I was no longer the timid girl who stuttered, even the simplest self-introduction. My works were published in magazines and exhibited at school. My classmates no longer had the impression of me as an introverted black girl, but Tang Yu who draws very well. When a male classmate laughed at me, I drew him into a funny cartoon and circulated it among my classmates. When he said that I insulted his image, I fought back against him for defaming my reputation. In the English speech contest, I told my own experience as a story, criticized ridiculous superstitions, accused parents of giving birth but not raising them, and encouraged all those who suffered injustice to find their own way out and save themselves from the water and fire. At that time, I didn't know that my aunt-in-law was rich, but I knew that I wanted to go with her and leave those who were full of malice towards me. Once I set foot on the road to Yanqing, I never thought of turning back. When I grew up in Yanqing and was 18 years old, I got an offer from the Jewelry Design College, and my sister actually applied for the Yanqing Film Academy. Before going abroad, the three of them came uninvited to visit my aunt's house with a bunch of gifts. As soon as my sister saw my aunt, she tried to hold her arm affectionately, but my aunt avoided her calmly. Aunt Chen prepared tea for the guests. My father may have gained weight in middle age. When he smiled, the flesh on his cheeks squeezed to the corners of his eyes. Aunt is so polite. We are all family. There is no need to prepare tea specially. We just drink water, just drink water. My mother's makeup is exquisite, but it can't cover the vicissitudes between her eyebrows. I heard that she had several miscarriages in these years. In order to have a second child, she also did IVF, but it didn't work. Gradually, she got older and had to give up. In contrast, my father was very proud. He co-founded a beauty company with his friends and just went public last year. You, I haven't seen you for a few years. You have grown into a big girl. Mom almost didn't recognize you. I didn't respond and sat down next to my aunt silently. Dad gave my sister a look and said, well, your mom and I are going to talk to your aunt about business matters. You kids won't be interested. Why don't you take your sister around for a walk? I am a vulgar person. In the past, my sister's things were better than mine, and I could only envy her. Now I want her to envy me. So I stood up and said, Sister, I'll take you to my room. As soon as I entered the room, her eyes sparkled with surprise, but she remained calm. She paced around, looked around, and when she came to my glass cabinet, she couldn't help but sighed. Are all these jewels yours? I'm going to Italy to study jewelry design soon. These are for practice. They're not very well made, so I keep them as a souvenir. My sister reluctantly moved her eyes away from the cabinet. We've moved again in recent years, and my room is bigger than before. Dad's career is getting better and better, so it's not impossible for me to go abroad. but I plan to develop in the entertainment industry, so I have to start accumulating resources since college, so I didn't go abroad. So you came to Yanqing planning to please my aunt's resources? My aunt's business covers a wide range. The three words Tang Zuling are a well-known sign in Yanqing, but no relatives in my hometown thought of asking about it. Even if they heard it, they thought it was the same name. Even my dad started to care about my aunt's movements from the day I left home. After I pointed out my purpose, she simply followed my words and played the emotional card. My parents have often mentioned you over the years. They have always regretted that you didn't treat you well when you were at home. I know you also long for their love, so why not let go of your knot and let your parents make it up to you? And I will also be filial to my aunt with you. We will be a real family in the future. What do you think? The breeze blew through the window, blowing the open collection of poems, and the page stopped at gift to Wang Dingji you owe in the world. I like the last sentence of this poem the most. Where my heart is at peace is my hometown. When I was a child, I was asked to look up at the bright moon and look down at my hometown, just to complete the performance of parent-child activities. I didn't understand any homesickness. I have been away from home for 13 years, and I have never missed my hometown, my parents, and my sister. Although I will leave Yanqing again soon, I think I will still settle down to study because my aunt will accompany me to Italy. You'd better stop thinking about that. My sister was stunned for a moment with resentment and anger flashing in her eyes. You are really different from when you were a child. You haven't changed. You still smell like green tea. She snorted coldly. Who told mom and dad not to like you? I'm just going along with them. If dad didn't want to get my aunt to invest, do you think I would come to you? My aunt is rich, but our family is not poor either. What do you two grandparents have to be proud of? There is still a long way to go. Just wait and see. I smiled inferently and deliberately provoked her. Sister, you are really spoiled. Once you get angry, you completely ignore what we talked about before. If I tell my aunt what you said, do you think my parents will make a wasted trip? I hurried downstairs, and she hurried to catch up with me, but she was not faster than me. I repeated her words verbatim, and my parents' faces changed drastically. My aunt-in-law gave me aunt-in-law a look and then said coldly, in that case, then you can go find someone else. 别说，说一下. My parents stood up in a hurry, but were blocked by Aunt Shin. The security guard came in and picked up the gifts. Three of you, please come this way. My father clenched his fists and gave my sister a look, and my sister's eyes were red with fear. When he slapped me that year, he didn't hold back at all. This time, it was his proud daughter who ruined his good deeds. I wonder if he can be cruel enough? The three of them were asked to leave, and my aunt-in-law sighed. This couple is really difficult to deal with. Fortunately, you came to save me. I smiled and followed her upstairs slowly, who said, we have a tacit understanding. During the 4 years that my aunt-in-law and I were in Italy, I occasionally saw news about my sister on the internet. She debuted from a talent show, and her stage name was Monthly Salary. A year later, the team disbanded and she switched to filming. Because of her pleasing appearance, she became a small hit in her first play. Dad took advantage of the popularity and asked her to endorse his products, and both sides gained a lot. The three of them also appeared on a variety show together, showing how happy and warm they were in front of the camera. Every time I saw it, I just smiled. Life in that small town is like a distant dream. Whether the dream is sad or happy, it has nothing to do with me. Graduation season is coming, and I put all my thoughts on my graduation project, which is called Flying Goose Stepping on Snow, a brute. The feathers of the wild goose are naturally shed parrot feathers, imitating the inlay technique, and a black pearl with a peacock green luster is inlaid on the goose. It is not only my graduation project, but also a gift for my aunt's 72nd birthday. On the second day of the Chinese New Year, before leaving my aunt's old house, I picked up the frozen bird and buried it in the soil, while my aunt picked up my soul that was frozen in that summer and made it bloom. I signed a contract with an Italian jeweler brand and officially became a designer. 2 years later, I returned to Yanqing and started to work on my own brand. Knowing that we returned to China, my father and sister made a special trip to visit us. My father opened a branch in Yanqing, feeling very proud, unlike his humble attitude 5 years ago. And I wanted to ask you to invest at that time, but you refused. My aunt pushed her reading glasses and looked at him as if he was a fool. I didn't make the money, but there's nothing to regret. I can even make sure you don't make any money. Do you believe it? My sister immediately defended my father. Aunt, that's not what I meant. We came here today because we want to talk to you about cooperation as relatives. You are retired, but Tang Yu has only been in society for 2 years. She still has a long way to go in the future. What's wrong with giving her someone to rely on? My aunt laughed twice. You are really a dog trying to lift the curtain, relying on your mouth. Are you a reliable family? As she spoke, she looked at me, and I understood. Aunt Chen, call the security to see the guests out. I was bored and scrolling through videos at night, and when I saw my sister appear in the live broadcast room of my father's company, I stayed for a while. The elder sister was arrogant and always perfunctory in her interactions with the anchor. When introducing a product, she couldn't even remember all the words and kept glancing to the side. When a viewer asked her about the color of her lipstick, she pushed it to the anchor. Her attitude caused dissatisfaction among the audience, who then questioned whether the anchor wanted to sell the product when the product was so expensive. The elder sister was immediately irritated. You think things worth 100 or so yuan are too expensive. Have you ever thought that it's your own problem? You only earn a small salary, so of course you think everything is expensive. As soon as these words came out, the anchor next to her was shocked, and the audience's replies instantly filled the public screen. But my sister looked disdainful and continued to challenge thousands of netizens with her eloquent tongue. Our large displacement cars more cost-effective than ours, but we are domestic products. Shouldn't you spend some money to support domestic products? If you think it's not worth the price, it's because you think you don't deserve to use things at this price, right? It's not as easy for ordinary people to make money as it is for me. Is it possible that you don't work hard at all? I have to shoot movies and sell goods, which is much harder than you, okay? The anchor girl tried to stop her several times, but she couldn't get a word in. It wasn't until someone came over with a mobile phone. Sisters Ink Sin, it's Mr. 当时两个人在弗洛伊改州的选票的非常的接近，之后呢，she left. The incident on the screen quickly fermented on the internet and was soon criticized by official media. My dad brought my sister out to apologize in person with humble words and tears, but everyone didn't buy it, and they all teased my sister for her good acting skills and taking the right path. My dad has invested in many offline stores across the country, thinking that he could reap a wave of profits after his new drama was broadcast. But now, not only are the existing counters deserted, but the inventory is also facing the risk of unsaleable, and the opening of stores is even further away. Other brands endorsed by my sister were also implicated. Not only were their products returned one after another, but they were also mistakenly believed to be from the same company as my father's, and worse, objected to cyberbullying for no reason. My father's company continued to lose money and its stock price was green all the way while my sister was burdened with a huge penalty for breach of contract and could not get any work. Not long after, she posted a diagnosis of depression on the social platform. 2 months after the incident, my parents and sister came to visit again, but this time they did not bring any gift. Aunt, this time you are really the only one who can help our family. As long as you are willing to help, I will do anything. My sister stood aside and wiped her ears silently. Her face was without the delicate makeup, and she was obviously haggard. Seeing that my aunt was indifferent, my father kicked my sister. My sister knelt down in pain, and he also knelt in front of my aunt. Aunt, as long as you are willing to help, let alone kneel down, even if it is to kowtow, I will. Jahanha, my mother said anxiously. She hurriedly took out a box from her handbag and stuffed it into my hand. You, this is the ring you designed. Mom bought it secretly. When Mom sees it, it is like seeing me. But if it really comes to the last step, I can only use it to pay off the debt. You, please be kind and let Mom keep this ring, okay? The ring is indeed my work, but don't you think it's too late to say this now? She shook her head, her face full of tears. No one has ever thought about me since I was a child. I can only be good to myself. Mom is indeed a little selfish, only caring about herself, not your feelings. Apologizes to you now. I really missed you all these years. My father knelt down in front of me. We didn't let you starve or freeze. Even if you remember the kindness of those years, you can't just watch you die. My aunt took out a cigarette and asked, "Do you want to save you?" I shook my head. She said that she didn't need me to go to the funeral even if she died. You. I meant my father's gaze, but since you said you have done me a favor, let's just settle all the grudges. The house and car under your name will inevitably be used to pay off the debt, and then you will no longer stay in Yanqing. The ticket back to your hometown will be charged at full price, and the house will be rented for 1 year base on an ordinary two-bedroom and one living room. Now let's settle the accounts. I will transfer the money to you, and we will be even. If you don't agree, then let him owe you this favor forever. My father hesitated for several times and finally replied in a low voice, I agree. They came to make such a scene, which made me feel depressed and uncomfortable. After everyone left, I couldn't help but get up and open all the windows. You? My aunt-in-law suddenly said, I feel a little cold, so let's close them. I quickly returned to the sofa and touched my aunt-in-law's forehead. How can it be cold in such a big sun? Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere else? Her frank smile made me feel uneasy. The two of us always have a tacit understanding, but this time I really hope that I guessed wrong. She held my hand and came to the study and took out a medical report from the drawer. Advanced breast cancer. My hands were shaking, and my throat seemed to be blocked. I used all my strength to barely make a sound. It can be cured. It can definitely be cured. My aunt-in-law opened the cigarette box as if nothing had happened. I'm over 70 years old, and these few years won't make a difference. You know you're sick and you still smoke. How can you be so troublesome? She ignored me and turned to open the wine cabinet next to her. I was about to grab it again, but she predicted it first. There's only a little left, just right for us to drink a glassy. I held the wine glass and found it difficult to swallow, but my aunt-in-law drank it with relish. Have you thought of the name of the brand? Reverse. Life is like a journey, and I am also a traveler. The book I gave you is well read. My aunt-in-law gently clinked glasses with me and drank the last half of the wine. We still live as usual, but I come to sleep with my aunt-in-law every night. She gets up more and more often at night, and her addiction to smoking becomes stronger and stronger. Sometimes she has nightmares calling my uncle's name softly and sobbing like a child. From childhood to adulthood, she showed me countless gifts from my uncle. She remembered the years and scenes of those gifts, but she never told me the story between her and my uncle. When I couldn't help asking, she would always lazily dismiss me. If you are interested in the story, find a novel to read. Later, when I grew up, I understood the pain that flashed in her eyes, and I no longer forced her to recall those past. Late at night again, my aunt got up and went to the study and opened the collection of poems on the table. The paper of this book was soft and yellow, much more worn than the one given to me, and the bookmark inside was a photo of my uncle when he was young. She stared at the photo for a while, then slowly spoke. I have never been to school and I can't read. It was your great uncle who taught me little by little. He gave me a copy of Dream of the Red Chamber. In my spare time, I sat on the edge of the field and read it slowly. If I didn't understand something, I would ask him. Later, those books became poisonous weeds and were not allowed to be read. They searched my house and found the books, dragged me to be criticized, and also criticized my appearance and the way I dressed. I wore a skirt that I sewed myself and was born with this look, but they insisted that I was a fox, that I was a demon, so even the books I read were poisonous. Your great-uncle's father got the news in advance and burned the books in the house early. As a result, your grandmother resented them and didn't let him study. She secretly hid a copy and then reported your great-uncle. The family had no choice but to draw a clear line with him. It's funny to say that thanks to this, no one stopped us when we got married. As soon as the turmoil was over, your great-uncle's parents, after they passed away one after another, I became the only person he cared about in this world. Later, he was admitted to university and went to the city. After graduation, he finally took me away. This collection of poems was his birthday gift to me the year. Later, he quit his job and we came to Yanqing together to work hard. It was just in time for the trend, and it was not an exaggeration to say that we became rich overnight. We struck while the iron was hot, worked hard to do business, and lived happily for 20 years. The second year after your uncle died, I went back to my hometown to take a look. Dealing with the old house was secondary, and the main purpose was to donate to the village school. I don't need any publicity, and I didn't let them make it public. As long as the matter was done in place, it was enough. They lived well later. We never had children in our lives because we were very pessimistic about the world and didn't have the courage to bring a child into the world and let him face the unpredictable decades of life that followed. But we still live hard after all. We are here. I tried to hold back my tears and listen to her quietly. When she stood up with the help of the table, I quickly supported her. My aunt-in-law held the photo tightly unmoved back to the bed step by step to lie down. In the faded photo, my uncle was wearing a gray suit, leaning against the car body, his almond-shaped eyes looking straight at the camera, with a smile on his lips, full of vigor and vitality. My aunt-in-law looked at me in those moments of distraction, and her mind must have been filled with youth like strong liquor. She folded her hands, put the photo on her chest, then smiled and closed her eyes without saying another word. That story was my farewell. My aunt-in-law had settled her affairs early. She left me the company's shares in this house and asked me to donate the rest of the property to schools in mountainous areas across the country. Every year, I would take time to go to the field to conduct field investigations in person and determine the use of the funds according to different situations, and then let someone supervise the implementation. In the winter of the 5th year after my aunt-in-law passed away, I came to this small mountain village again and donated a batch of multimedia equipment to the school. The teaching building that my aunt-in-law donated had just been painted, and there was no trace of the past. It was brand new, just like the lives of these children. When I left the school, the snow gradually became heavier, covering the footprints I had left when I came. Thinking of that year, I followed my aunt-in-law's steps in the alley, and I was looking forward to growing up. Now I have finally grown into the person I expected, except that the old servant is no longer by my side, but I have become her. No matter how strong the wind and snow are in the future, I will stride forward with my head held high.